What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of the second season of Our League Sucks. How you guys doing?
Pretty good after this week. Mike, not so much.
I mean, I'm okay with this. The Birds won in decisive fashion. Jalen Hurts looks phenomenal.
Sorry, Mike. This isn't a real life football podcast.
So I'm okay with taking a loss in this league if it means the Birds won.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
So today we're kind of going to go through a little fantasy news, talk about how the injuries throughout the league could impact everybody, and then look at some matchups and some power rankings. So let's just go straight into injuries. The first one I want to bring up was the first night of the season, Michael Gallup. He went down on the IR, and I think expected 8+ weeks from what I saw.
Yeah, he's designated to return.
Obviously, he was getting a good amount of the work, and he kind of looked like one of the clear top 3 players for them. And that is going to hurt Brad's team a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
Fuck
I
him.
think it takes away from whoever owns them, but it's obviously going to help CD and Coop owners. I
Especially
think,
CD.
yeah, I think we're really seeing that Zeke might just not be that good. He was pretty unproductive on Thursday, and I think they're just going to rely on Dak to make plays. And so like I said, it'll be good for Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. And then you got to wonder how popular Cedric Wilson will be on the, waiver wire this week.
Probably not too much.
It's going to be, I think it'll be for desperate owners. If you really need a receiver, it's worth at least picking him up to see if he can fill Gallup's role. But, Gallup's a much more talented receiver, I think, than Wilson. So it'll be tough regardless.
It's just one of those things that hurts basically all the Cowboys just because Wilson's really not proven at all. Their tight ends are pretty bad. And, I mean, as you mentioned, Zeke looks like a shell of who he was just a couple years ago.
I think that's more to do with his offensive line still missing pieces. I don't think it really hurts the Cowboys that much. Because as you could see, CD just took on a bigger role and he went nuts. And Amari Cooper's Amari Cooper. He does the same shit.
Yeah, I don't think it'll hurt them that much because defenses still can't just sell out on Amari Cooper and CD.
Because then you still open it up for Zeke.
Exactly.
Or Tony Pollard, the better back.
It's hard to argue with that.
Well, not necessarily an injury, but another issue with the Cowboys was Lyle Collins. 5-game suspension for
PEDs.
Yep.
But apparently there's something funky going on with that. I guess it's like a test from last year or something that they're just processing or something. Or they're just suspending him for a test from last year. So they're
Is that what it is?
It's something weird. Like I was talking to Bravin and he was saying that it was like a test from last season that they're just getting around to prosecuting the guy for, I guess.
Yeah, that hurts them more because now they're missing their whole left side.
Uh-oh.
There goes Ruggs.
Yeah. While we're on the topic, Ruggs just went down with looks like, it was non-contact, but I can't tell if it's a cramp or something with the calf, but that didn't look great.
The next injury we're going to kind of go through is someone that is perpetually injured. But when he's not injured, he's really good, and that's Raheem Mostert.
Dude's right away. Just second possession of the game, and he's out on the IR. It's like that hurt me in one league real bad.
What is it? How long is he out?
He's on the IR to return. So they've given a pretty hard timetable of 8 weeks, but
they haven't even really said what it was, right? Have they?
Yeah, they
I know
just said
it's
the
knee,
ESPN. It's the knee. No, it is the knee, and
but they
ESPN said
haven't.
8 weeks. So,
I
but
mean,
you
all the
look
other
at
knee injuries are specific. We all know, like Becton's is specific.
yeah. Um, but I mean, look at Elijah Mitchell stepped up. He didn't have any catches, which you'd expect a little bit more catches from a Niners back, but still had 104 yards on the ground with a touchdown on what was it, like 16 carries or something.
They
So
look good.
he looked really good. And then you got to assume that they have to try and work Trey Sermon in somehow
They
at
will.
this point. You got to give him a chance.
You assume they have to, but it feels like such a Shanahan thing to be like, he hasn't earned his spot. So we're going to give Jermichael Hardesty or Hasty 15 carries next week because he works hard.
Yeah. So I think it's a bit of an unpredictable situation in San Fran now, especially with how much Shanahan relies on the run.
Mhm. I mean, that's definitely going to hurt Eric. Mostert was one of his best flex plays every week.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's just hard to lose a
And you
consistent
really
flex play like that.
and you thought he was gonna, once they scratch Sermon, you really
Mhm.
thought, okay, Mostert's gonna be the workhorse. Like they're gonna feed him. Dude just can't handle it. It's a shame too, because he's talented. When he's in and he's healthy, he produces, but he just can't stay on the field.
I'd get at least 2 weeks out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned him talking about Mostert, but Becky Becton, he's down for a little while, right?
4 to 6.
Yeah, 4 to 6. He's
No
having,
IR, right? Just 4 to 6 weeks, dislocated kneecap.
and he's got to have like a knee surgery,
Yeah, that makes sense.
clean up cartilage. Other than that,
Mm.
man, it's really the whole line was bad. And I mean, he went down after the first touchdown. They played better in the second half all around. But
I mean, from what I saw, like of first half highlights, it looked like Zach Wilson was just running around to save his life a few times, more than a few
yeah,
times.
there's a few things. I think some of it was he wasn't picking up blitzes, pre-snap. So that's why a lot of guys came in just absolutely untouched.
Yeah,
And then, he started getting,
They're young.
getting nervous, and then he calmed down and it went a whole lot better in the second half.
well, and you gotta, looking at Becton too, like, how is it going to affect the Jets and all their fantasy prospects? Like now, a lot of the hype around Michael Carter probably dies down a little bit.
They didn't even run to his side when he was playing, so it really.
Yeah, but still, it's going to affect the cover, the line a lot more.
You could say that, but if in the game he got hurt and then they still scored another touchdown, they still played better than they had. So I mean, it will hurt them, but none of them could pass block anyway, so can't really hurt them that much more. They were across the board bad pass blocking.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously, and you watched that game way more than we did.
I mean,
So
even if they are like struggling though, you want Wilson to have his potential future guys to kind of grow with as
Correct.
he learns to pick up those blitzes and like knowing what to call and stuff like that. You want Becton there to grow with him. You don't want Wilson to
absolutely.
8 weeks. But
and then and Pat, you could probably you can definitely answer this question better than us. But how long do you think the trend is of Tevin? I mean, Tevin Coleman was their workhorse out of the backfield. He was the main back.
Yeah, but he was basically the same thing as Frank Gore. They kept feeding him, but he really wasn't doing much.
Yeah, so that's what
I
I'm saying. How long
imagine.
do you
I
think?
imagine how long do I think until they fix it?
Yeah,
I think much sooner than past regimes would take.
yeah, I agree. I mean, we
think-
talked
I think
about
it'll
it
be-
last time.
I think
Solid,
it'll be-
great coach.
I think it'll be maybe a week or two more of that if it's not working.
Yeah,
I mean, Gase would have had Frank Gore
yeah,
50 touches a game, 17 games.
yeah, probably.
So along the lines of the Becton injury, we're going to talk a little bit about Jedrick Willis, the Browns lineman that got hurt. And this one seems like it was pretty impactful. It kind of seems like once he went down, the Browns, the Chiefs got going. And then B, the Browns kind of started falling apart offensively. I actually don't know if they scored once he went out.
Yeah, I mean, like the Chiefs, like you saying the Chiefs are going. The Chiefs were always going to get going at one point. That was going to happen regardless. But yeah, it is. It's interesting to see. Could this take away Chubb's value and add to Hunt since Hunt's more of the pass catching back? I think. And obviously I'm a little biased with this, but I think Stefanski's such a good coach too, that I think he'll find a way to play call around it and work his way around it. Cause I think he's an unbelievable play caller. But I think if you're a Browns fan and if you're an owner of Nick Chubb more so than Kareem Hunt, you got to be concerned going forward about it. What's the injury though? He's day to day right now with the sprained ankle. So it's something that lingers, but he could be back in 2 weeks and it's not that big of a deal at all. So.
Yeah. We'll lead right into someone with a true ankle injury that I think will probably be the most impactful injury that came out of this week, and that's Jerry Jeudy. Out 4 to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain, and they say 4 to 6 weeks, but when you have a high ankle sprain and you're
a player like that,
that's something that's going to linger and hinder him all season. Even if he comes back by week 7 or week 8, there's no way he's going to be himself till probably close to the fantasy playoffs time.
Yep. And it's definitely, it hurts to coast someone who he probably expected to have a big breakout year and to be an impactful player for him. Now it pretty much just puts his whole season in question, not to coast, but Jerry Judy's obviously.
But it works out for everybody else.
Yeah, it does work out for everybody else.
Everybody else on the Broncos.
Yeah, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler are both going to see an uptick in use.
Courtland Sutton.
And Courtland Sutton. I think this gives Courtland Sutton the opportunity to have his comeback year that a lot of people thought he was going to have. So, and Noah Fant too.
Yep.
Because I think Teddy Bridgewater's proven over the years wherever he's gone, he's like maybe not a superstar quarterback, but he's consistent and he can get the job done when he needs to.
Yeah, I was actually just saying yesterday, like fantasy wise, he's in that Alex Smith realm where like he's not gonna give superstars really, but everyone he's throwing to is gonna be at least fantasy relevant.
Yeah,
he's not gonna take somebody's value.
Not at all.
So the last injury and probably the saddest injury of the week, even though I'm an Eagles fan, was Fitzpatrick going down with the hip subluxation. I don't care who you like. I don't care what team you like. You gotta love Ryan Fitzpatrick. At least
you gotta love Fitzmagic, man.
He's probably played for your favorite team at one point.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty shocking. He's like the Eagles, like one of the only teams I think he hasn't played for. But it sucks seeing him go down with that. He's IR designated to return. We'll see how long it is. But I mean, now you have Tyler Heineke throwing the ball. In that playoff game, he wasn't too bad. Okay, but now he has to step up and play now he has to play every game for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
In a playoff game, people hadn't really seen him. He came in, he was able to surprise some people. I think this really hurts someone like Terry McLaurin's value. I don't think it hurts someone like Logan Thomas as much because I think he'll be more of a safety blanket. But for Terry McLaurin, who everyone really thought he was going to benefit from just having a gunslinger back there like Fitzpatrick, what value is he going to have now? I mean, he still have value because he's a really good receiver, but I think the ceiling is lowered significantly.
Yeah, I bet the over in that Chargers Redskins game. That just felt like it was going to be Herbert and Fitzpatrick going throw for throw for 3 hours, and then within 5 minutes of game time, Fitz was out.
Yeah. And it's just he's old too. It's his body catching up to him, man. Like, when you're that age, you can't keep dropping back and passing 40 times a game. You're going to get hurt eventually. Someone's going to find you and hit you. And when you're going up against a D line that includes Nick Bosa and Melvin Ingram, you're in trouble.
It's a very astute point, Mike.
Thank you.
That's it for our injuries this week. Next, we are gonna kind of go a light breakdown of the matchups. We're recording this Monday night, where the game's still going on.
Most are in hand.
but most of our games are settled. So we'll talk about the last one last. We can start with the biggest blowout of the week. Lupo just absolutely destroying.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lupo projected to put up over 190 still. Just a dominant performance from Lupo.
Yeah, I mean, he started with 60 points on Thursday night with Dak and Cooper. So, or Tom Brady and Cooper. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's never a great start for his opponent, which in this case was you, Cody.
Yeah,
I mean, Joe Mixon looks real good.
Yeah.
does.
I mean, well, yeah, and that comes with the Bengals offense just being so much better with someone like Joe Burrow. And then, Jamar, did you guys see what Joe Burrow did this post-game interview?
No.
His post-game press conference? He went after Jamar Chase, and so Chase finished up. Joe Burrow sat down and goes, thought he was dropping everything. Why don't you guys ask him about that? Which I thought was pretty cool. But, I think Bengals offense, the ceiling's pretty damn high for them.
Ceiling's pretty damn high for Lupo. I mean,
Yep.
Cooper will come down from a 34-point game.
Sure do hope so.
Calvin Ridley only had 7 points.
That's good. Well,
There's no way Calvin Ridley does that all season.
yeah, he was just going up against a really fucking good team in defense.
Mm-hmm.
But then about Lubo's team, Cody, what are your thoughts on your team right now?
Oh boy.
It was fun.
Recent reports say Damian Harris is going to start losing touches because of his fumble.
No, he fumbled.
Didn't Ramondre fumble one too?
Ramondre was in 2 plays. Caught a pass, got the carry, the next play fumbled, and was out the rest of the game.
Yeah, I saw Coley tweet out, we'll see Ramondre next season.
So I'm not worried about Harris. I'm not really worried about my team. Like you said, after Thursday, Lupo put up 60 with 2 players. Generally, when that happens in fantasy, you kind of already are mentally preparing for that week to be pretty much a loss. Like,
I mean,
if he just got average performance from his players, who's projected to put up 150.
yeah, but if you got average projected, I mean, what? Julio scored 4, AJ Brown scored 12, Justin Jefferson 10. I mean, this is your team. Those are the guys you need to fucking kill.
And I mean, Cody, is it? I think it was a weird, like, Chandler Jones just fucking ate the Titans alive. But is it really viable now to, like, especially when you do need help at running back? Is it viable to keep starting AJ Brown and Julio?
I'm gonna start it at least for the next couple of weeks and see how it works out. Week 1 is so hard to really base everything off of. Especially
no, I don't disagree with that.
Absolutely.
I just gotta hope Julio still has that in him. I don't like that Julio got chewed out by Vrabel for, like, not trying hard on one play when the entire team was just, the Titans looked pitiful. Everyone did.
I mean, yeah, the Cardinals just fucking stomped them.
The next matchup
they did.
finalized. We got Nico beating Eric by 6 points.
Yeah.
Not the prettiest matchup of the week, but
Yeah, can we just not talk about it?
I mean, my biggest thing looking at it was there's just so many people who underperformed, especially for Eric.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Like, Aaron Rodgers putting up 3 points. That's not going to continue.
I mean, any other week, Nico probably loses that game just because Aaron Rodgers doesn't do that.
Yep.
But a win's a win in this league. When there's only 10 teams, every single week matters so much. DK is still DK. He's catching a touchdown somehow, no matter what.
But
Gesicki,
I think it really comes down to Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers putting up a combined 6.5 points.
And Raheem Mostert, bringing that total up to 8 points.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and this is like, you look at Eric's bench and you wonder he could like, Daryl Henderson got a good amount of the work.
Mhm.
And then I mean, Pat, you could comment a little bit more on this, but Corey Davis looks fucking good, but Corey Davis is the king of putting up 25 points 1 week and then 0 for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it-
it's
but
different
it's
now
but
because
it,
he doesn't have AJ Brown next to
and
him.
that's what I'm saying. So like he's with the Jets now. Zach Wilson is going through growing pains, but I think it could be a better situation for him.
He
So,
still looked for him at all times.
and I think especially now that he's probably going to be scrambling a lot, he'll look for that big body receiver as a safety blanket too.
Absolutely.
So I think Eric's fine. But just because he only put up 106 and lost to Nico, you gotta
Sucks.
can't give him any credit for that.
Especially when Nico started Miko Harmon and Mike Gesicki.
The next matchup, we got Pat beating the lowest scorer of the week, Jack.
That was
Wow.
awesome.
How the mighty have fallen. Only took a
Jack.
week.
Jack.
The Jacks team has been exposed. That's not a good team.
Nope. James
Yep.
Robinson, maybe he comes back down to earth this year. I don't know if I talked about it a lot earlier, but Mike Evans, I just wasn't big on at all this year. I think he is essentially become the third option. For Brady.
I think-
Corey Davis will be talking about. He will do nothing for 2 weeks, give you a 30-point game, and then do nothing again. So it's hard to trust playing Mike Evans. And then we mentioned it with Fitzpatrick. That has to be a huge downgrade for Terry McLaurin going forward too.
Now, just to be positive on Jack for just a second. I mean, there's Stephon Diggs is not going to score only 11 points.
No,
Weak.
but he's the only one that I look at where it's like, okay, that was an anomaly.
I mean, the scariest thing is Brandon Ayuk and all of that. And what Shannon had said,
Mhm.
it's not looking good. This is a guy who's putting up fucking major numbers last year. And now he's not a part of the offense and he's got to learn to be a pro. Those aren't good words from a head coach.
No, they're certainly not. And it's definitely something Jack should be worried about for someone who, I mean, but he's on Jack's team, but I think a lot of people had high expectations for him going into this year.
Oh yeah.
But I think, and especially with the game Debo had, and I guess we'll talk about that next in my fun matchup.
Oh, but I mean, my team looks good.
No, and your team's good. I mean, we all thought your team would be good.
Kyler Murray's.
So good.
You want to talk
Tyler's
about do you want to
so
talk about your bold prediction pick real quick, or do you just want to avoid that?
What? I didn't say this week. I thought the whole season.
Yeah, the whole season, but I mean, having
There's
one catch for -3 yards isn't a good start.
Yeah, he dropped a 50-yard bomb.
Well, yeah, he dropped it. I don't see Devontae Smith dropping passes.
Okay. I don't know what you're
Just
trying to get a rise out of me. It's one
No,
of these,
I'm just saying. I'm just asking what your thoughts are.
Mike, you're not gonna like this when Devonta Smith goes down with an injury. I'm
Oh.
sitting here tap dancing on your grave. You might cry.
No,
'Cause you're a
I
big
don't.
bitch.
I don't wish injuries
Me.
upon people. That's something that scumbag Jets fans do.
Which I've never understood this shit talking to me, a guy not in your division.
I'm not shit talking you, Pat. It's because last week I was trying to talk about Devontae Smith, and you just kept going, "Oh, Elijah Moore. Oh, Elijah Moore. Oh, Elijah
Yeah,
Moore."
absolutely.
Elijah Moore had one catch for -3
-3
yards.
yards. Yes.
Okay, good. As long as we all know that Elijah Moore had one catch for -3 yards.
It's just nice to see the Eagles finally draft a wide receiver.
Yeah, I
that isn't
couldn't-
worse than
Worst?
the other wide receivers drafted.
Couldn't agree more, Pat. It was very refreshing to see.
How many? It's Jalen Rager, JJ
Hey,
Arcega
Jalen Rager
Whiteside.
had a better game than Elijah Moore
Elijah
yesterday.
Moore,
Jalen
yes, he
Rager
did.
scored a touchdown. Arcega Whiteside, boy, he had some great blocks yesterday. I'll tell you.
Better than
Um,
Elijah Moore's.
So Pat's team definitely looks good. I mean, you showed out with Antonio Gibson not doing much,
Mhm.
Sony Michelle doing nothing.
Well, I made that move because I wasn't sure about Josh Jacobs, which, I would have put
But
up
you had the win wrapped up
170,
already.
180. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a smart move to make if you're not sure about it.
The next matchup we'll get to
Fucking Jack. Jack suck a dick.
a matchup that when I was prepping the sheet for this,
One person had one.
had Big Mike beating Bravin by what was it? Like point
0.12.
0.12 points. By the time we got through the podcast, there had
I
been
lost by
speculation
1.88.
of a 2-point conversion for TJ Hawkinson. Just a heartbreaking way to go. That's like
Brutal.
That's like playing the defending champions, like the first game of the season, and you just got Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
You were up 22-0. Game was locked up, 90% win probability, and they just get ripped out from you.
But I mean, listen, my team, I was expecting a lot worse from them. Let's put it that way.
So did we.
Yeah, no, a lot of people were. Look, I mean, I couldn't start Jalen. There's a lot of like if, fans, or buts, but I wasn't going to start Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen week 1. Naeem Hines at 11 points on the bench, not terrible.
Juju had 7 points in your roster.
Juju had 7 points in my roster. So I'm after this week, I'm more optimistic than I was. But it's a tough to lose on a stat correction on Monday night. It's never a fun way. But I also had only gotten the win because of 2 kneel downs by Pat Mahomes. So cheap win, cheap loss. Take it as it goes.
And a not kicked extra point.
Yeah, and the not kicked extra point because they don't do that on final plays anymore, which sucked. Hopefully Clyde, that's not they were losing the whole game, so I understand that he didn't really get as many carries as he probably normally would. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think Bravin has a good team though too. So
yeah, and Bravin, going into this week or this season, I thought one of Bravin's players was going to have an okay season, be a decent player. Guy comes out week 1, catches 9 balls for 190 yards and a touchdown. That's Deebo Samuel.
Deebo went off.
He looks like the clear-cut favorite on the Niners. And the only person that we collectively were afraid of stealing time from him was Ayuk, who Shanahan apparently hates now. So,
just hates his guts.
This feels reminiscent of who's the Niners receiver a couple of years ago that did like one bad thing and Shanahan ended up hating him. Was it Jalen Hurd?
No.
Pettis, Dante Pettis.
Dante Pettis.
Yeah. He finished the season really strong. Came in the next preseason and something just wasn't right. And I'm pretty sure at this point he's out of the league or like on the Niners practice squad.
So maybe he's right. Maybe he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. With Judy getting hurt though, Brad's got to be a little weary that Sutton only got 3 targets the entire game.
Who?
Cameron Sutton. Cortland
Well,
Sutton.
He's coming off of that injury. He was just getting worked back into the lineup. I'm not worried about Sutton.
I don't think especially with Judy going down, I think Sutton will be fine. And with Bravin's team too, everyone had high hopes for Hawkinson. He came out and delivered in a big way.
Yeah.
8 for 97 and a touchdown and a fucking 2-point conversion.
You're not gonna get Deebo Samuel numbers every game. So
no.
The classic Robbie Anderson 1 catch, 50 yards for a touchdown is not gonna cut.
I think
and that's all he does anyway. What?
We haven't talked about someone to really worry about on Bravin's team is Saquon.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He did not look good, and you never know how a player like that's going to come back from a knee injury. But the Giants didn't inspire a lot of hope in general. But 2.6 yards per carry, only 1 catch on 3 targets. That's not doing much, obviously.
Oh no.
And it didn't even look like he was like, it just looked like he was still hampered by the injury. And you got to wonder if they tried to rush him back too quick.
Pretty big thing in football where they bring these guys in too quick, too hard, like the RG3. They just kept forcing him even though he wasn't right. And now he's done. You really gotta hope they're not forcing Saquon back too early and just ruining his.
Is Miles Sanders the better Penn State running back?
Yes.
Some might say.
Hey, absolutely no bias in my answer. Yes, he's by far the better Penn State running back.
Yeah, you haven't been biased at all this episode.
I actually hadn't. I just wanted to give you shit about Elijah Moore.
We'll see at the end of the year.
We will. I'm just saying it's off to a good start for my guy.
So the final matchup of the week, still ongoing, a pretty close game is between Mike DeCoste and Pop's team. Right now, Mike is projected to win as we are recording, but Pops is down 16 points with Sammy Watkins,
Mark
and
Andrews.
the Ravens defense going.
Yep.
And we're just started the third quarter pretty much. So there's a very real possibility by the time we're done with this, Pops will have won the game.
I don't think so.
Live predictions. What are we thinking?
I don't think so.
I think it's got to be Mike, but I could definitely see Mark Andrews catching a touchdown, and that'll really.
That's fine, but it's Sammy Watkins. You kind of need both.
And he
of
can
them.
still and because Pops can still lose points with the Ravens defense, which I think he will. I'm with Pat. I think Mike holds on.
Pops needs
Jesus,
both.
Darren, catch the fucking ball, bro.
He needs both of them to put up numbers. He can't just have one of them.
No, agreed. I mean, if the Raven, Derek Carr is not one to known to make the right decision every time too. So the Ravens defense could still get a pick six or something.
That's true.
And right now it's kind of the prime territory for it as well.
But they've had a pretty good matchup together. Prescott and Wilson went one-on-one pretty much 27 and 29 points.
Oh, there he goes.
For what Mike got from his running backs, Pops got from his receivers, and it just kind of all balanced out for the most part. Oh, I'll put my hand up already and say I'm wrong about David Montgomery. He looked very good yesterday against a very good.
Wrong about who?
David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Not even like the stats. He just looked good out there, which when you're going.
He was the only part of the Bears that really looked good.
I think in the preseason you're talking about Fields coming in.
Yeah.
And I don't think we get to week 4 without Fields starting games for them.
I mean, talking about that for a second, it is Matt Nagy's loyalty to Andy Dalton is fucking insane.
They paid the man.
Dude, obviously Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson's performance, which weren't terrible, but don't really help put the rookie in case. Still, you can't. Yeah, I mean, how is Justin Fields not playing over Andy Dalton at this point?
All of the rookie QBs looked good. I mean, Zach Wilson looked bad, and he had 2 touchdowns a pick and like 200.
And that's what I'm saying. Like there was they were very obviously like rookies at certain points, but overall that this year of experience is going to be invaluable for them. So why start Justin Fields a year behind? And Andy Dalton's just not good anymore. He's just not.
I was listening to PMT today, and Big Cat actually brought up the most spot on Bears point.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say.
Bears are either only allowed to have a good offense or a good defense. So this is probably one of the last years that this defense is going to be competitive, and they're going to waste it with Dalton. And then by the time Fields gets up to speed, because he will be a year behind, he will have a old rundown defense where Khalil Mack is still getting like $30 million a year, not quite as impactful. So we're gonna go into power rankings. We're gonna do it a little quicker this week. We're not gonna do too much talk, just kind of quick rundown of where everybody's sitting. In a tie for technically last place, I'm not gonna call it ninth place. We got Nico and Pops both sitting with 5 points. If you guys really want to know, Pops is actually the B. He has the 2 last place votes.
Yeah, you're welcome, Pops.
Nico coming in at 9th on 2 of the rankings.
Those teams suck. They deserve to be at the bottom. Next.
The next in 8th spot, and I think the team, or definitely the team with the biggest fall, and I think the team most impacted by injuries and the week 1 games played out is Jack. I think Terry McLaurin's gonna have a hard time being as good as we expect him to be, and it doesn't look like Mike Evans is going to be the Mike Evans.
And Mike Evans is just a clear third option.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Arguably 4th behind Fournette
Oh.
or Ronald Jones.
Oh, I was gonna say Gronk.
Oh,
AB
yeah. Fuck. I mean, yeah,
AB
but Jack
Godwin,
has
Gronk.
Gronk. So maybe just fucking
Well,
play
he
Gronk,
doesn't.
Jack.
He doesn't start Gronk. So
I mean, I've always said since we started this league, I've always said if you don't score 100 points, it's just shame on you. And it happens to everyone every once in a while, but week 1, when you have that high expectations and your team puts up 95, fuck you and fuck you, Jack.
And Slaughter
Jack, your team sucks, dude.
right above Jack at 11 points. Jack had 10 is Eric's team.
Yeah, I mean they're only separated by 1 point, but you know Jack seems so much worse.
Eric, like we were talking about during the matchup, realistically should have put up probably 130 around there, 120 to 130. If you just get an average game from Aaron Rodgers, not even anyone else on his team that didn't perform. I think Eric is gonna have a interesting time replacing Mostert, but you can basically just start Henderson. But then he's running into the Jack problem we were talking about, where Jack has a starting lineup, but not much else below that.
Yep.
Mhm. And if he makes the wrong move, it's 25 points just sitting on the bench.
Mm-hmm. The next team in the rankings coming in at 6 is actually Big Mike's team, 14 points, so a little bit ahead of Eric and Jack. Gotta be happy with the week 1 performance from your team.
No, I am. I said it before. And the whole joking aside about Elijah Moore, Devontae Smith looked really fucking good, and I need that receiver. I need a stud receiver.
I just hope it's not the Falcons that made him look good.
No, and
Falcons
that's
are bad.
obviously no, and that's something I'm concerned about. It is the Falcons fucking stink, but you saw points of it where he, it's his first time going against NFL cornerbacks, and he's just running right fucking by him. And he's doing a lot of like the little things, like he's calling out cornerback glitches like a veteran player. He's moving around, giving Hurts the targets. He's making all the right cuts, and it helps that Hurts also looked really good. And whether that's Cody, you said you listened to PMT today. They kind of mentioned it, like, was it the Eagles looking good or was it the Falcons being really bad? And I think it is very much a little bit of both. But with having traded with Pat and then drafting with my heart, I need the Eagles to have a productive offense and getting touchdowns from all 3 guys on my team of Rager, Goddard, and Smith.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. That was good to see. And then, Juju just sucks, and I held on to him for way too long, and that's on me. Kamara got his, 16 points is underperforming for him. But as we said, we don't want to spend too long in the power rankings. But I'm happy with how we performed week 1, and it gives me hope for not a totally lost season.
So coming in after you, in 5th place, we got Brad's team. Brad's at 19 points. This is where we really see the separation between the lower part of the league and the higher part of the league power rankings. I think
He's got
Brad-
stuff to clean up.
You won
Yeah.
by 1 point. He won by 1 point. Well, 2 if you round up. I'm choosing to round down for my own.
He's got a good
bias.
team though. and,
Unbiased Mike. That's what we call you here.
Never been biased a day in my life.
he's got a good team, but he needs to get more consistency. He can't hope on these kind of breakouts from a random player every week to kind of uphold the team. Like he got
You're not gonna get 20 points from a receiver on a offense that loves to run the ball.
he got 19 combined points from his running backs. That's usually not gonna be able to uphold him.
But that's probably not going to happen with his running backs.
Yeah.
At least 2 of them. One of them, right? He has Chris Carson.
Yeah.
Chris
He's
Carson
not
and
gonna
Henry.
score 9 points.
The next team we got is actually my team. I'm at 20 points, so slightly above Grav. I can see myself sliding down the rankings if stuff starts breaking on, specifically with the Titans. I think the AJ and Julio could really end up messing up kind of the flow of the team. I don't like Kirk Cousins. He's not a nice guy fantasy. But I do like Damian Harris. And I like Kareem Hunt as like the 0 RB type running backs. Also,
I just noticed what we did for the top 3 teams.
yeah. And if we can actually just go straight to that. I was just gonna say Lamar Jackson might stink, but we'll go into
I mean, he just made a fucking terrible 3rd down throw.
the top 3 teams, unprecedented for our rankings, are all tied exactly at 27 with the same exact average placement of 2. So we got Pat, Mike, and Lupo all sitting in a tie for first place through the first week.
And it's almost like exactly a tie too, because we all ranked them 1, 2, 3 in different ways.
yeah.
And I only put me second because I'm unbiased.
You missed out because you could have been the clear number 1.
I could have. I mean, just basing it off of Lupo just had the best week. So, I'll just put him there. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, the only reason I kept Lupo 3rd because I didn't want to give him that big of a jump, but it won't be hard for him to get to 1 next week if he has even 3/4 of the performance he had this week.
Yeah, I mean,
You could say
we all
Pat
have.
Pat too. Pat put up 140 with Sonny Michelle seeing like 1 snap.
He did, yes. Saw 1 snap, 2 yards.
And then
I mean, we can do that
Mike's-
math right now where
Mike's
I didn't
team
even-
still seems pretty strong. You can't
He had point
expect
5. How many points? He had 0.2, right?
he had 0.2.
Yeah.
Mike's team still seems pretty strong, and you gotta assume Devontae is not gonna put up 8 points every week.
Right. And Antonio Gibson's not going to put up 8.
I mean, Pat, if you keep in Jacobs, you're probably going to finish with over 150 points.
Yeah. But I made the move. I wasn't sure what.
No,
Jacobs
yeah,
was gonna
it
do.
didn't really matter either way when you made it.
Yeah, if I was losing, no way in hell I'd put Sonny Michelle in.
Yeah,
I'd rather just leave it blank.
yeah. Well, if you're losing the Jack, you're already.
So
Do you see Jack's team? No way I'm losing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you had
Yeah.
been losing, you're already depressed. Like, who already gives a shit because you're losing the Jack? And I know that means I'm going to lose the Jack when I play him, but whatever.
I know. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to suck.
We'll have Jack on the show.
No. I'm vetoing
Absolutely.
that. I'm absolutely vetoing that.
one exception is if you beat Mike, you gotta be in an interview. After he makes fun of you, you gotta be. So we're through 1 week of fantasy. pretty much, assuming Mike wins. I guess the final question really would be is if Mike loses this week, does that change our power rankings if he finds a way to lose? Or do we
I don't
still
think so.
he's a top,
No,
top 3 team?
he's
I
still
actually,
got the
because
talent.
when I put those in, I actually thought Mike would be losing this week. So it doesn't really change much for me. I think his team's still very good. And I think the biggest person in trouble is Jack. You put that in the thing to talk about. I think the
Oh, yeah.
biggest, like, because when you ask like who's in the biggest trouble, we already knew Nico and Pops, and like people like me and Eric like would be like towards the middle of the bottom, and with Nico and Pops at the bottom. But like with Jack, we all thought he was going to have a really good year this year, and it's just not looking like that. I think two people he really needed to put up consistent numbers with Evans and McLaurin just aren't going to do it.
I would also just not on the same, same scale as Jack, but Cody being back-to-back champion and having this start to happen.
Mhm.
And I mean, yeah, your running backs are good for the 0 running back, theory, but it's dynasty. You should have
I
more.
mean,
than
I
that.
do it didn't like kill your team, but like one of the worst things that happened for your team was Julio getting traded to the Titans.
Mhm.
Anywhere else, it's probably fine, but to the Titans now, he's number 2. He clearly already has his issues with
And
being
he's old.
number 2, and he's old. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
I fully agree. I'm kind of in that who's in danger.
You're not as bad as like Jackson mortal danger. You're like,
Yeah, Jackson
Bad shit might
might
happen.
miss the playoffs. I'm in probably will make the playoffs, but is it just like you're in the playoffs, buddy. Good job.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Jack might get first overall pick, and he'll fuck that up too.
Oh God, I know he would.
So we kept this pretty try to keep it short and sweet this week. And I want to keep it around, a little shorter of episodes, a little easier to consume.
I mean, I think there's no reason we can't keep them short and sweet going forward until like we get to like a midway point where we do like a mid-season breakdown.
Yeah, mid-season.
And then once we get to the playoffs, we'll do the full breakdown of them.
Is this over?
Yeah, we're gonna be wrapping it up.
No, okay.
Do you have something you want to say?
No.
Final
It was off the podcast.
I have quite literally no idea what's going to be said.
All right, well, that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Should be out every Wednesday. You'll see our beautiful faces. See you guys.
Have a good one.
Later.